Hi all, welcome to the channel DEVOPS-TECHSTACK. I hope you all are doing safe and sound. So in this video, I'm going to talk about end-to-end Java application project deployment on the Kubernetes cluster. Trust me, it's going to help you and you are going to learn a lot by the end of this video. This will not only cover basics of Java application, but build tool called as Maven also and multiple Kubernetes object concept as well. Without any further delay, let's quickly get started. So here the agenda is just to deploy a Java application on the Kubernetes cluster. End to end, I will explain everything. The very first step is quick walkthrough of this particular code. My code name is Login Web App. This is my project. Okay. So what is this Java application? Java Web Application is just a software that is built using Java and that runs on a web server. This web server, there are multiple types of web server available. We are going to use Apache Tomcat. And this particular Java Web Application can be accessed over the browser once it is deployed on the Tomcat server. Okay. And how it is going to deploy it? This is going to be deployed in the form of a WAR file. So how this WAR file will be generated? Through the Maven automation tool that I will show you now only during the lab everything. Okay. Now, what is the build tool we are going to use? We are going to use Maven. Okay. Now, Maven is a build automation tool where it is going to contain all the configurations for all the dependencies, whatever is required to run this particular Java web application. So how you are going to compile the code, what are the libraries or dependencies are required for this Java web application, how you are going to package this particular application. So we are going to package it in the form of WAR file. Okay. Then what are the web files which is going to be used in this particular Java web application code. So if you open this particular project inside this src main, under this particular folder resources, here you have all the images whatever is going to be used in this particular Java web application. And then inside the web app you have multiple JSP files where the entire logic what this particular Java web application is going to do, everything is written over this JSP files. Let me just quickly go through it. Let's say your user is logging in for the first time to this Java web application page. So once he enters the username, like you are doing the first time registration on some site, right? So you are going to enter the username, you are going to enter the password, everything you are going to write. And once you write everything, you are going to click on the register option that will be shown on the web page. So once I run this particular Java web application, you are going to see everything in the web page. I will show you slowly, but let me go through it once. Okay. Now, once you enter everything and click on the register option, it is going to save your username and password into the database. So here I am using a MySQL database, and this is the command which is logging or connecting to your MySQL database and storing this username, password, first name, last name, all the details about the user into a database table. Database name is DEVOPS class where it is logging with the username DEVOPS and this is my password. So in the upcoming lectures, I will take these values from the environment variables, but for now I have just hard coded it. Okay, because I'm going to use this particular project for multiple things like creating GitHub Actions pipeline or Jenkins pipeline. All those things I will create, but slowly I will go into those details. But for now, you can understand that once you enter all the details about the user, it is going to connect with the MySQL DB, and there the database name is DevOps class, and this is the service of my MySQL database because it is also deployed on the Kubernetes cluster. I will show you how you are going to deploy it and how the service is going to be created. And with the username is DevOps, and this is my password for this database. Okay. And inside that, you have one table called as the user table that I will show how to create this particular table. So inside this particular table, whatever the informations about the user has been you have entered, everything will be saved on this particular table. So all these details are written in this particular JSP files. Similarly, you have other file as well. Like this is for the logout file. Like if you want to log out of that particular web page, this particular JSP file will be hit. Then once user enter the correct username and password, it will see or match that entry from the database, and it will show you the message that your login has been successful. All these things are coming from here. Okay, so this you don't need to go in much detail. because this is a part of the development team. So you don't need to understand it end to end. But since I'm going to use this project in for multiple kind of demo, so that's why I'm simply going through it. Okay. Now what will happen that once you automate or once you build this particular Java web application in the form of war file using the Maven automation tool, you are going to deploy this particular war file. So where you are going to deploy? You are going to deploy it on the Tomcat server. Apache Tomcat is a lightweight open source web server and is designed specifically to run Java web applications. So again, my Tomcat server is also deployed on the Kubernetes cluster. I will show you how to deploy it. And once my Tomcat server has been deployed, there I will deploy my war file, whatever is generated by this Maven automation tool. So I will show you how you are going to generate a war file also. So this structure you already understood. The main thing is the pom.xml file. So in the pom.xml file, Maven automation tool will get to know what all are the dependencies to build this particular Java web application code. So my dependency is that I need to have the servlet API, I need to have the MySQL connector as well, then I need to have the JUnit. So all those dependencies are configured in the pom.xml file, and your Maven automation tool is going to build your project using these dependencies, using the JSP files, this particular image, everything it will use, and it will package your application in the form of war file. Okay. Now this is my structure. The very first is pom.xml. And once you build this particular Java web application code, you will get a target folder also. Inside this particular project, you will get a target folder. And inside that target folder, you will have the .war file where all those dependencies, all those JSP, everything is being packaged. Just like how you say that Docker file images and everything, there also you have everything packaged in one form, right? Same way in the war file, everything is in the zip format and it is packaged. And directly you can deploy that war file on the Tomcat server, and your Java web application can be accessed directly. Okay. And this in the SRC main web app folder, here you all the JSP file are kept, right? And these are few files that are the front end views for the user. Once you log into that page, so you can see that username, password, everything, whatever is being seen, whatever you are seeing, those things are written inside these particular JSP files. Now, how you are going to build this war file using the Maven automation tool. So make sure that you have Java installed on your system. Once you have the Java installed on your system, you can install Maven on your system. You can refer to this particular link as well, and you can install Maven in your system. So this war file generation can be automated also, like using the Jenkins pipeline, we can directly build the war file. But for now, I will do it in my Windows system directly. So I will make sure that I have Maven installed in my system. So I have previously installed it. So in my system, it is there. But otherwise, you can follow this particular document to install Maven. So once the Maven is installed, you can check that whether the installation is successful or not. You can just go to terminal, hit this command. It will show the Maven version installed on your system. So this is already installed, right? Now I am going to generate a war file for my application. For which application? Login web app application. I am going to generate a war file. So what you need to do? You need to just copy this particular path, go over here inside this path, and inside this path, you need to run the command mvn clean package. So let's just enter it. So it is building your war file. And once this command is successful, you will see that a target folder is generated inside this particular project. And inside the target, you have the war file, which is having all the dependencies, all the JSP, everything is packaged inside this war file. And this war file is directly going to be deployed on the Tomcat server to access your web application. So this was the overall flow, how it is going to work. Now start the concept of the Docker image, Kubernetes cluster, everything. Now we will start. So the very first thing is you need to write two Docker file. Okay. What are the two Docker file? One is for the MySQL Docker container, and the other one is for the Tomcat deployment. Okay. So in total, two Docker file you will have. So let me go through the Docker file here. The very first is the MySQL Docker file. In this MySQL Docker file, what we are doing, we are just deploying a Docker container having MySQL, this particular version installed in it. So this is just an image which is directly being placed on the Docker Hub site and you are going to use it. The main important thing is this particular line, right? What I am doing over here, that from my current existing directory, I have one folder called as the dump folder. Inside this dump folder, I have a SQL file. What is this SQL file? In this SQL file, I am creating a user with these particular column information like ID, first name, last name. So whatever the information you were putting in the register.jsv file, all those informations are going to be stored in this particular table. So whenever my MySQL container will start, I want to create a table called as the user during the initial stage only. It will not be created later point of time, but the first time when the container will start, I want to create this particular user table there. So that's why I have kept this information over here. After that, what I am doing, just this SQL file, whatever is placed in my current directory, I am placing it over here in this particular file. What is this particular file? So Docker entry point init db.d is a special directory inside the official MySQL Docker container. So whenever you are going to start a new MySQL container, the startup scripts look inside this particular folder. So inside this particular folder, you have kept this DevOps class.sql file. So whenever the Docker container for MySQL will start, it will look into this particular directory and this SQL file it will pick and start your Docker container. Means the container will start and the user table will automatically be created. You don't need to worry about that part. Okay. So whatever the things you want to create at the initial state only of the starting of the Docker container, you can keep inside this particular folder directly. And whatever the SQL file are placed inside this directory, those commands will be executed and you will get a user table directly created for you. And that user table is being used in your code over here that I have already shown, right? Let me show again. If you see over here, here, right? So insert into user. This is my table. And inside this table, I am storing all the informations, whatever I have passed over here. Okay, got it? So this is my Docker file for the MySQL container. Similarly, what about my Tomcat server? So this Tomcat also I want to deploy as a container. So what are the commands over here? The very first is the Tomcat official image. So from the Docker Hub, I am using the base image as the Tomcat so that Tomcat server is automatically installed in it. But now here comes your automation. Now I have to deploy my own war file, right? So I have already created the war file over here, right? So once you run this maven clean package command, you got a war file. And this war file you can copy to your current directory, and that from the current directory, it will copy inside the folder user local Tomcat web apps. So whenever the Tomcat server will start, it will look for all the war file inside this particular path by default. So you will place your custom war file inside this particular folder, right? And then this will be my current working directory inside the container. So from here only I will execute all the commands. So I am setting the work directory as this particular folder itself inside the container. Okay, inside the container here. So inside the container you have already copied your custom war file and then you are setting the current working directory as the same one, and then you are executing one command, this command catalina.sh. What is basically this command is doing? So catalina.sh starts Tomcat without detaching. So Docker keeps the container running itself. It runs the Tomcat server in the foreground when the container start. So basically this is a simple script which is running a Tomcat server, and inside that Tomcat server, whatever the war files you have placed inside this particular folder, those will be executed and served on the web page. So this is the overall agenda for this particular Docker file, right? You understood what is the Docker file for MySQL, what is the Docker file for the Tomcat. I hope you are clear till this point. And now we are going to build this Docker image. We will push it to our public or private registry, and then we are going to use that in our deployment files for the MySQL or for the Tomcat. Okay. So now let's talk about how you are going to build these images, whatever the Docker file you have written for MySQL and for the Tomcat. So I'm going to build these two particular Docker file. How to do it? The very first thing is you need to go inside this particular directory. These all things will be shared on the GitHub. So refer from there. Okay. I'm already inside this. Now what I'm going to do it? Now I'm going to build these images. So how to build it? You just need to copy this particular command. So let me explain you. Docker build is the command to build any Docker file, and you will get the result as image. Then if you want to build your custom Docker file, then with the -f flag, you can pass the Docker file name because you are already inside this particular path. Just you need to pass the Docker file name. And then with what tag you want to build this particular image. So my tag is login web app, and the version of this particular login web app is, let's say, 15. Okay. And then I'm inside the current working directory. So you need to place dot. Just hit enter and your image will be built. Okay. Similarly, just do the same for MySQL as well. The command is same. Just place it over here, and again it will have to be 15. I'm building the custom image for the MySQL as well. So it's already done. Now, once you have built this particular images, you need to push this image to your Docker Hub site. So for now, I am using my public account. Otherwise, you can push it to the private registry as well. And from there, you can pull the image in your Kubernetes cluster. But for now, in this lecture, I will make it public. In the later lectures, I will show from the private registries as well. So then how to push it? So before pushing this particular image, you need to tag this particular image with the username of your Docker Hub site. So if you go to my Docker Hub, you will see the username for my account. So the username for my account is Kritika Jha 94. So what you are going to do, your tag is login web app :15. So I will tag that particular name, whatever is there for my custom Docker image. I will tag it with the name Kritika Jha 94 and then the same thing. Okay. Then in that way, it will push to your Docker Hub site. So you need to tag with the proper name. So it is the tag is 15, right? So the version is 15. So I will just hit enter and then again do the same for MySQL as well. $15, then again 15. Okay, this is done. And then just push this image to your Docker Hub site. Docker push and then this. Again Docker push and then for the MySQL. So these two are pushed to my Docker Hub site. Once you refresh it, you will see that this version is available on my site. So this is my code, right? So in this particular image, you will see the tag as well. And the latest tag is 15, what I pushed just now, less than a minute. So your image is now available on the Docker site, Docker Hub site. Okay. Now I'm going to create a deployment for this. All these things I want to deploy on a Kubernetes cluster. So how to do it? Make sure you have a running Docker. Make sure you have a running Kubernetes cluster. It can be on any cloud provider, or it can be a Minikube, or it can be a Kind. So for me, now I have installed on the Kind cluster. But if you don't know how to do it, so I have already the lectures on that. I will provide the link in the description. You can just create one Kind cluster to go through this particular project. Okay. The very first is you need to create a namespace for this. Okay, because everything related to this particular project, I want to deploy in a separate namespace. So just you can apply this particular YAML file. Copy path. First see which cluster you are using. Okay. If you run the command kubectl get ns, you will see that this particular namespace is not available. My namespace is dev namespace I'm going to create. So you are just going to copy the path for this and kubectl apply -f and then this. Okay, so the namespace is created. Okay, sorry, kubectl. So the namespace is created. Now you have the dev namespace. So inside this dev namespace, the very first thing what I will create is config map I am going to create. So in this config map, the few information I am providing, that what is the MySQL service host, what is the MySQL database, what is the MySQL user. These things I am providing this config map basically. So from this config map, you can get the detail in your code as well, that I'm going to show you in the next lectures. So it is just a simple config map where I am defining few environment variables such as MySQL service host. MySQL service host is basically the service name for your MySQL container. What I will show now, just I will deploy one MySQL container and you will see that I will create a service with the name MySQL DB, and this will be created on your Kubernetes cluster inside the namespace dev. So just a simple config map I have created. Inside that I have created three environment variable called as the MySQL service host. What is the MySQL database? So my MySQL database is DevOps class, and inside this I have a table called as the user, what I have showed initially only. And what is the MySQL user through which the code will authenticate? So MySQL user is the DevOps user. Okay, so just apply this config map file as well. Okay, this is created. Now I will create one secret also. So secret, why we create? Secret we created because this is in the form of base 64 encoded, so that we are not breaching any security. And here I'm just passing the MySQL password. So my MySQL password is already I have shown in the code, that is Sunday at the rate 2025. So that I have decoded and here I have passed it over here in this particular secret file. So just apply this. Okay, this is also applied. If you see any MySQL image, which what I have used as the official base image, right? Here you see that these are passed as the environment variable, and whenever the container will start, it will by default take these environment variables into the picture. So whenever the Docker container for MySQL will be started, this particular user, that is DevOps, and with the password Sunday at the rate 2025 will automatically be created through these environment variables. That's why I have created this over in the form of a config map and secret, and I will make sure to refer them in my deployment files as well. Okay. So now let's talk about the deployment definitions for both the MySQL and for the Tomcat as well. So let's go over here. This is a simple deployment file what I have created for the MySQL container, and this I am creating inside the namespace called as a dev. And for this deployment I have set few labels, like this is the key is app and the value is MySQL DB, key is type and the value is backend. If you don't know about these things in much detail, you can refer few videos I have created for this as well to explain deployment and everything. So for this deployment which is created inside the dev namespace for the MySQL DB deployment, I have set few labels over here. Then inside the specification for my this deployment, I'm setting the replica as one, that only one pod need to be deployed for this particular MySQL DB container, and it should monitor only those pods which are having the labels as type, key is type, and the value is backend. And then I am giving the specification for my Docker container or the pod. So inside the pod, I have created only one container, and for that container, I am taking the image from this particular registry. So since my registry is public or this particular image is public, it can be directly pulled from that Docker Hub site. You don't need to do anything. Again, inside the container, this particular MySQL container will be accessible on the port 3306. And all the secrets or environment variables are going to be created from this particular config map and from this particular secret. So as I already told, that if you create these environment variables, what I have shown over here, right? This particular environment variable or this ConfigMap environment variable. So by default, whenever the container will start, this particular database or this particular user will automatically be created inside your MySQL container. Okay. So I have already created one user with the name DevOps and the password is Sunday@2025. So this will automatically be created. Now comes the concept of the volume and volume mount. So inside the container, your data will be stored in this particular path. And since I have created a volume as the empty dir, once the pod will be deleted, all the data will be lost. You can create a persistent as well that I'm going to show in the next lectures. So I will create a persistent volume. So in that case, even if you delete this particular container, the data will not be lost and it will recreated with the same data as well. But for now, it's just an empty dir, so it will be the data will not be restored. So this is just a simple deployment file to deploy your MySQL container over here. Same way I have created for the Tomcat as well. So the same thing, I will not explain everything that it is created inside the namespace dev, and the label on my Tomcat deployment is this one. Then the only one container is there inside this particular deployment file also, and that container is creating from this particular image. So the image is already placed in the Docker Hub. I have already shown you, and from that image, it is creating a pod for the Tomcat. And again, it is managing only those pods which are having this particular labels. These things I have explained in much details in my Kubernetes playlist as well. You can refer from there. So finally, you have two deployment files over here. Make sure to just apply them. Copy this particular path, apply it over here. Okay. This is for the MySQL. Let's do it the same for this one, Tomcat. And now just kubectl get pods inside the namespace dev. Okay. Everything is up and running. Since I have already done it before, so the image pulling didn't take any time and it was very quick because on the worker, this image was already pulled and it just created this particular pod. So now the next step is to create the service, right? The service for the MySQL, the service for the Tomcat to make it accessible over the web browser. Basically, what we are going to do now, it is the last step where we are going to create two services, one for the MySQL container and other for the Tomcat server. So if you see in our code that we are using this particular service name inside our logic as well. Here, if you see, right? This is my service name for the MySQL database and the port is 3306. So let's quickly go through the specification for this particular service file. So what it is doing, this Kubernetes service exposes a MySQL database which is running in the dev namespace on the port 3306 internally using the cluster IP, and it is targeting only those ports which is having this particular key value, right? And one we are creating for the Tomcat as well. Let me quickly go through that also. This one, okay. So here what it is doing, this Kubernetes service exposes a Tomcat web app which is running in the dev namespace on the port 8080 externally via the node port. This is my node port value, and it is only targeting those ports which are having this particular key value set in the label. Okay, so let's try to apply these two also. Copy path, just apply it. 1 second. Kubectl apply -f. Okay. And the other one, kubectl apply -f. Okay. So now you have the service also created. If you see kubectl get pods -and dev, you have the MySQL database and the Tomcat. Both the deployments are already up and running. Now, if you see the service, you will see the service is also created. Now what you need to do to access this over the browser, you can create an ingress also, but for now we will use the port forward and will access this particular web page over the browser. So how to do it? So for that, kubectl port forward. Okay, port forward, the pod name is, let's say I'm using this particular pod Okay, now you need to write the port details. So this is the node port, and then you are routing it to 8080 colon. Okay, here you need to put colon 8080, and then the namespace is dev. Hit enter. Just copy this. So you're already routing it from the local host, but our endpoint is this one. Okay, login web app. This is my endpoint. Just copy this, go to incognito mode, hit enter, and you have the login web page accessible. These all things are defined in the multiple JSV files what we have created, and all these are packaged into your WAR file that are being used inside your Tomcat server, right? So you don't have any login ID and password, so you need to click on new user register here. Let's put, I have not put any validation or anything because I had written it from the scratch, so I'm not put much things because this is the work of development team. They will write in the application code everything, but for now just keep te. This is my username and password. Rest things I have kept it like this. Click on submit. Registration is successful, please log in here. If you search with these things also, right, so you will see these all codes, everything is written inside your GSP files. Now click on go to login, and then hit the username te, password te. Click on login, and this is the page which I have available because this is coming from the this folder as well. If you see over here, right, so this PNG image is placed over here, that is also packaged in my war file. So I have this page available over here. If I click on logout, I will be logged out of this web page. I hope this is clear to you. If you have any doubts, please put in the comment section because I will try to show multiple kind of projects which can be done using this particular code as well, because I have anyhow explained you the code walkthrough what is being done in this particular code. So normal GitHub action or deployment using the Argo CD, or writing a Jenkins pipeline for this one, or maybe you can deploy it on the AWS EKS clusters. So those EKS clusters we can create via Terraform and do these deployments using the GitHub Actions pipeline. So those things I will explain in the upcoming lectures as well. Thank you for watching our videos. Keep subscribing to the upcoming videos notifications. Thank you.